At 47, Elena had her life perfectly mapped out. A successful career, a grown son, a quiet existence. Then Maya walked through her door, her son's girlfriend, brilliant and free, with a laugh that made everything Elena thought she knew about herself feel like a lie. What happens when you recognize yourself in someone else's eyes? What happens when that recognition changes everything? Elena adjusted the linen napkins for the third time, her fingers tracing the perfectly pressed creases. Outside, the city lights were beginning to twinkle against the darkening sky, and her stomach felt inexplicably tight. She'd hosted dozens of dinners since the divorce. Her apartment had become a curated space of control and precision. Everything in its place. Everything predictable. "He's bringing someone special," Marcus had said on the phone. Those words had lodged themselves in her chest like a splinter. Elena poured herself wine she didn't particularly want and surveyed her reflection in the kitchen window. 50 wasn't far away. Her face had developed lines she hadn't noticed accumulating, and her dark hair, still mostly black, thankfully was threaded with silver she treated religiously. She looked like a woman who had her life together. That's what people always said about her. Composed, independent, put together. The intercom buzzed at exactly 7 o'clock. When they arrived, Marcus came first, carrying wine and flowers. Then she appeared in the doorway. Elena's breath caught in a way she couldn't quite explain. Maya was wearing ripped jeans and an oversized vintage jacket over a t-shirt, her dark curly hair escaping from what looked like a hastily assembled bun. She carried wildflowers in her arms like she'd personally rescued them from the side of the road. When she smiled, it wasn't polite or practiced, it was genuine, reaching all the way to her eyes. "Elena, Marcus has told me so much about you," Maya said, extending her hand and then pulling it back to sweep her hair from her face. "These are for you. I know they're kind of a mess, but I think that's their charm, you know?" Elena took the flowers. Their stems were still damp with rain, messy, alive, the opposite of everything in her apartment. "They're beautiful," Elena heard herself say. She meant it in a way that made her uncomfortable. Throughout dinner, Maya talked with her whole body gesturing, leaning forward when she listened, laughing freely at her own jokes. She asked Elena genuine questions about her architecture practice, actually paying attention to the answers instead of just waiting for her turn to speak. She talked about her bisexuality casually, as though it were as ordinary as discussing her favorite coffee shop. She challenged Elena's assumptions without being aggressive about it. By the end of the night, Elena realized she'd been watching Maya for hours. "She's special," Sophia texted her later. Elena didn't respond. She couldn't find the words for what she was feeling. 2 weeks passed before Elena saw Maya again. It was supposed to be coincidental, a gallery opening for a local artist Maya had mentioned. And Elena happened to go. Happened, as if she hadn't checked the date 3 times. Carefully planned her schedule, spent an hour choosing what to wear. The gallery was crowded, filled with the usual mix of art enthusiasts and people pretending to understand abstract expressionism. Elena moved through the space with her practiced ease, comfortable in her role as observer. Then she spotted Maya standing in front of a massive canvas, all violent blues and desperate reds, completely absorbed. "It's overwhelming, isn't it?" Elena said, before she could stop herself. Maya turned, and her entire face transformed when she recognized her. "Elena, oh my God, what are you doing here?" "I saw it advertised. Thought I'd check it out." The lie felt both necessary and transparent. "Come here," Maya said, pulling her arm through Elena's. "I want to show you this series. The artist is this incredible woman who just came out after 30 years of marriage. She paints all these pieces about discovering herself late, about the anger and joy and confusion all at once." They stood before the paintings for nearly an hour. Maya talked about color theory and emotion and the bravery it takes to create from that vulnerable place. Elena said very little. She was too aware of Maya's arm through hers, the way their shoulders almost touched when they turned. "Can I ask you something?" Maya said eventually. "And you can totally tell me to mind my business." Elena's heart raced. "Yes." "Do you ever feel like you're living the life you were supposed to live, but not the life you actually want?" The question landed like a stone in still water. Elena thought of her apartment, her routines, her carefully managed existence. She thought of how she'd stopped painting years ago because it was impractical. How she'd never really questioned whether she was happy, just whether she was secure. "Every day," Elena whispered. Maya squeezed her arm. "Yeah, me too." "Well, I used to. I'm working on it." That night, Elena didn't sleep. She kept thinking about the artist who'd hidden for 30 years. She kept thinking about Maya's arm through hers, and how alive she'd felt. For the first time in decades, Elena felt something stirring inside her, not just desire, but awakening. Marcus was at a conference for work when Elena invited Maya to her apartment. She told herself it was practical. They'd have more privacy to talk. The truth was more complicated and terrifying. They sat on Elena's pristine white couch with glasses of wine, and Maya immediately curled up like a cat. Completely comfortable in the manufactured perfection of Elena's living room. "I have to tell you something," Maya said, her voice suddenly serious. "And I need you to know that if this changes things, I understand. But I can't keep pretending." Elena's stomach dropped. She thought Maya was about to confess something about Marcus. "I'm attracted to you," Maya said simply. "I have been since that first dinner. It's not really about acting on it. It's just something I feel. And I realized I can't be around you pretending I don't feel it. It's not fair to you, and it's exhausting for me." Elena set down her wine glass very carefully, as though any sudden movement might shatter something irreplaceable. "I don't understand," she said, even though she did. She understood perfectly. She'd been understanding it for weeks in the gallery, in every conversation, in the way she suddenly cared about how she looked and what she said. "I know. That's why I'm telling you." Maya sat up straighter, her vulnerability so raw it was almost painful to witness. "Elena, you're this accomplished, beautiful, intelligent woman who spent so long being what everyone else needed. And I see you, really see you. And I think you're extraordinary. Maya, you're dating my son. I know, which is why I need to be honest. I care about Marcus. He's wonderful. But this thing between us," Maya gestured at the space between them, "this is something else. Something bigger." Elena stood and walked to the window, her reflection ghostly in the glass. This was the moment. She could laugh it off, dismiss it as Maya being confused, maintain the safety of her old life. She could preserve everything, or she could tell the truth. "When I was your age," Elena said quietly, "I didn't know I had choices. I thought there was one path and you walked it, and that was your life. I married the right person, or the person who seemed right. I became the right kind of woman. And I never—" She paused, her voice cracking slightly. "I never let myself feel something this terrifying because I didn't think I was allowed to." She turned to face Maya. "I don't know what this is. I don't know how to do this. But you're right. I see you too. And it scares me more than anything has scared me in years. So what do we do?" Maya asked. "I don't know," Elena admitted. "But I know I'm done pretending." The phone call came on a Wednesday morning. Marcus's voice was tight, controlled in a way that made Elena's heart sink immediately. "We need to talk," he said, "about you and Maya." Elena had known this moment was coming. She prepared speeches, justified arguments, ways to explain that sometimes life takes unexpected turns and people can't always control what they feel. None of it mattered now. They met at a coffee shop near his office. Marcus looked exhausted, betrayed in a way that cut Elena deeper than any anger could have. She wanted to tell him it wasn't what he thought, but that would be a lie. It was exactly what he thought. She told me everything, he said without preamble. How she feels about you. How you feel about her. Marcus, did you sleep with her? No. Elena met his eyes directly. But I wanted to. I still do. The honest answer seemed to drain something from him. He looked away, jaw clenched. I love her, Marcus said quietly. I thought we had something real. You do. What happened between me and Maya doesn't negate what you two have. Elena heard how inadequate that sounded even as she said it. Don't, Marcus said sharply. Don't try to make this okay. You're my mother. She's my girlfriend. This is... He couldn't finish. Elena understood then that there was no explanation that would make sense to him. He was seeing betrayal, not awakening. He was seeing his mother as someone who'd violated the boundaries of their family, not a woman finally allowing herself to live truthfully. I'm sorry, Elena said, and she meant it completely. She was sorry for hurting him. She was sorry for living a lie for so long that the truth felt like a betrayal. She was sorry that honesty came at such a cost. Are you going to be with her? He asked finally. Elena had spent 3 weeks thinking about this question. She'd rehearsed answers, imagined different futures. The truth was simpler than she'd thought. I don't know, she said. But I can't go back to pretending I don't feel what I feel. I can't spend the rest of my life being who I think I should be. That's a kind of death, Marcus, and I won't do it anymore. Even if it costs you your relationship with me. The question hung in the air between them like a blade. Elena felt something crystallize inside her, not certainty, but something close enough. The knowledge that she would rather live authentically, even alone, than continue the performance. I hope it doesn't, she said. But yes, even if it does. Marcus stood to leave. At the door, he turned back. I hope it's worth it, he said, and Elena couldn't tell if he meant it kindly or cruelly. After he left, Elena sat in the coffee shop for a long time, watching people move through their lives, making their choices, living their truths or their lies. She pulled out her phone and texted Maya, "Come to my apartment tonight. We need to talk about what comes next." 3 months later, Elena stood in a new apartment, smaller, messier, filled with both her clean architectural sketches and Maya's chaotic art supplies. The walls displayed paintings by that artist from the gallery, the woman who'd hidden for 30 years. A reminder. Marcus hadn't called yet. She'd left him space, knowing that forgiveness, if it came, would take time. She'd offered it countless times, but she'd stopped asking for it. She could only be honest now. That was all she had to give. Maya came home from her photography job, kicked off her shoes, and collapsed onto their couch. Elena, sitting with her sketch pad, turned to face her. Rough day? Elena asked. The usual chaos, Maya smiled. Better now. Elena realized she meant it. This life, messy, uncertain, unconventional, was better than all the perfection she'd carefully constructed. It was real. The question isn't whether you can afford to live authentically. The question is, can you afford not to? Your turn to awaken, have you ever felt the pull of a truth you were afraid to speak? Have you recognized yourself reflected in someone else's eyes and felt your world shift? Your story of authenticity matters. In the comments below, share what, when she walked in, means to you. What moment made you realize you couldn't pretend anymore? What part of Elena's journey resonated most with you? Let's talk about it.